So I'm not gonna lie, I'm kinda worried about Trippie Redd right now, and it doesn't have anything to do with his well-being, but more so where he's at right now in his music career and the rollout for his Love Letter to You 5 album, cause it's kinda looking a little iffy right now, especially with the singles he been dropping that's not really doing too well on the charts, with only Big 14 being the only song to chart out of all the singles he released, and it just barely made the list too with it charting at 99, which I was kinda surprised by cause it seemed like a lot of fans were really anticipating that song, so to see the outcome of that wasn't really a good look. And then he followed it up with a First Draft EP 2 months later, where he would drop the song Save Me Please and First Degree, which a lot of fans did like the Save Me Please track, but the First Degree song was not it, and many fans had a similar opinion on that track too. And I also found it kinda weird that Trippie would drop a 2-song EP, only due to the fact that I don't know if these 2 songs would be on the album, cause they do seem to fit the theme of A Love Letter to You 5, or they was just 2 loose singles that was never intended to be on the album. I really don't know what his intentions were, but I will say Save Me Please has been doing well on Spotify. And for the last track, Ain't Safe, I might get hella hate for this, but this is arguably the most mediocre song he released for his whole rollout, and I'm kinda disappointed cause out of all the songs he have in the vault, this is the worst song he picked. It's not as bad as I'm making it seem, but it feels more like a Don Toliver song featuring Trippie Redd, and he gets outperformed by him too on the track. The song doesn't do anything, it's just there, and that's what worries me, cause I know what Trippie Redd's capable of and he's not pulling through for me. Every single besides one he released have been nothing but disappointment, and I'm starting to lose more and more hype for this project the closer we get to it, cause I feel like there's no build up or story behind A Love Letter to You 5, it's just there. His first A Love Letter to You project was his most iconic one, cause it made him a household name and put him on the map with songs like Love Scars Part 2, Pose, 1469, It Takes Time, and other tracks that you still play still to this day. His second A Love Letter to You, I feel like it was for his core fan base, with cult classics like Bust Down, and Too Deep, Hellboy, and my personal favorite, Feel Good, which this project in my opinion really showed the potential that Trippie Redd could really be a superstar one day with the amount of range that he had. And still to this day, a lot of OG Trippie fans credit this project of being the peak of Trippie, especially back then when his voice was at a higher pitch. And the third A Love Letter to You, in my opinion, was the best of Trippie out of this whole series. He just came off an embarrassing breakup with Alex after she was in a video of 6ix9ine trolling him, and it seemed like at that time that the public opinion was against Trippie no matter what he did, so Trippie responded right back to him by just dropping great music. And A Love Letter to You 3 was part of that scorching hot run he was on. Keep in mind, 2 months prior to him dropping this project, he would release Life's a Trip, which was arguably my favorite album by him from beginning to end, so it showed to me how consistent he was during that period. Topanga was going crazy, he performed that on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Love Scars 3, which is my favorite in the whole series, was on that album, and of course the most hyped song with Juice WRLD, 14999 Freestyle, was on here too. And I felt like Trippie was in his bag this whole project, cause from start to finish he did not miss. And last but not least, A Love Letter to You 4 that came out a year later was Trippie Redd's most successful project, and in my opinion the narrative on this project was the Bounce Back album, especially after coming off of dropping exclamation mark and how bad his fans were criticizing him over that, and would end up being the lowest sales in his career too, to now coming back and doubling that on A Love Letter to You 4. I felt like this was Trippie Redd's most successful album, cause Trippie, he knows his niche, he knows what his fans want, and he knows what his fans like to hear, which is him making melodic love songs and mixing it up with a couple rage songs here and there. But I'm still trying to figure out what's the narrative behind this Love Letter to You 5 album, and maybe I'm looking in too deep into this, but for me personally, I look at Trippie Redd's A Love Letter to You series as an introspective playlist, not only cause I'm a huge fan of his music, but also due to the fact that it's relatable and it have substance. It may not be as lyrical as a Joyner Lucas, J. Cole, or Kendrick Lamar song, or even touch on black plight issues, but what Trippie makes his music about, a lot of teenagers and young adults is going through every day, and it's the reason why his A Love Letter to You series is his most successful. And I just hope with his most newest one, despite these weak singles that he released, it stays up to par to the other ones. But y'all let me know down in the comments, am I tripping on this take or not? Is Trippie dropping mid singles, or I'm looking way too deep into this? Cause I feel like based on all the other unreleased songs that I heard, he could have dropped a better track than Added Up. Not to mention that he's really stalling on his release date, cause we're in November and he still hasn't announced nothing yet, even though he did just say that Added Up was the last single before he dropped his album, which I still feel like it may not drop this month due to Drake and 21 Savage dropping their collab album. But I'm really hoping for the best for Trippie, and this should be the best one out of the whole series, since this will be the last project for it, cause the last thing I want is for this dope album series to go on a dud. But be sure to like the video, comment, share this, subscribe. Have a nice day.